I don't know any other artist that displays intimacy like Sarah Bahbah. Her photographs are filled with sexual tension, nudity, and what is probably the most important aspect of it all, it's personal. The Australian-born Instagrammer earned millions of views and a cult-like following through her collections of photographs, easily recognizable because of her signature style. But what exactly makes her unique? Inspired by subtitled stills of French movies, Bahbah began unpacking her traumas in one-liners. She quickly envisioned creating cinematic stills that showcased her insecurities, flaws, and vulnerabilities.
I never felt like I was Arab enough for the Arab world. And then when I was in school, I never felt white enough for the Western world.
A lot of photographs can be interpreted as inner dialogue or words that she felt like she should have said but didn't have the courage to do so at the time.
When I'm in my head, all these lines come out. Like all the inner dialogue you see on my work, that's all from these moments of these tidal waves of emotion.
Let's look at her collection Sex and Takeout. It's released in 2014, right at the beginning of #FreeTheNipple. Instagram's policy on nudity regarding males and females was, to say the least, flawed. Whether intentional or not, Sex and Takeout participated in opposing the policy of Instagram. Sarah was able to give us a feeling of voyeurism, looking through someone's keyhole and seeing the naked bodies surrounded by takeout in their own homes, their own privacy and intimacy. It imposes a feeling of guilt. Sex and food have always been closely intertwined as a necessity and pleasure of every human being. Just the hashtag foodporn alone holds over 280 million photos on Instagram. She realized that people weren't just drawn to the aesthetic of her art, but it was also relatable. In this era of Instagram, everything is just so perfectly curated, and people really get to choose how they portray themselves online. We're all ultimately human, and whether we're aware of it or not, we all want to feel seen and heard. Let's look at the photos of Aib. In her own words, I really would love if they could see the work and understand the weight of the words I'm saying, and understand that it's different when an Arab woman says these things. The photos intertwine emotion and sexuality throughout text, and it's a very personal collection of art. Meaning shame in Arabic, the word Aib was used against her whenever she acted against Arab culture. Sexuality and affection are often a taboo in Arab culture, and being faced with sexual abuse herself, Aib was often a word to silence her. The collection is actively confronting the world that some Arab women have to deal with, and it's also the first project where she was her own model, as other Arab women were too scared to do so. Another indicator that she's here to open up a barrier that some women have to face. The series Fool Me Twice was inspired by actual events that had happened with a partner of hers. She realized her desire for intimacy wasn't being matched by her partner. She had a newfound knowledge of attachment theory, an idea that our attachment styles are formed early in life and which influence our future behavior and relationships. With Fool Me Twice, I wanted to be able to execute a story which clearly showed my experience being the anxious person. As the series progresses, he eventually makes her feel safe enough to reveal her vulnerable side. The precariousness of intimacy and safety has always been of interest in Bahbah's work, and this collection is no different. The photos are intimate, raw, and very appealing to the eye. And this is just a small portion of her work that I showcased. She owns her own creative agency Posse, working with the likes of Gucci, Sony, GQ. She's directed music videos for Kygo and has numerous exhibitions and art shows across the world. She also uses a pay what you can initiative to make her art more accessible. One thing is certain, she's only getting started.